One evening not long ago at a library event, I struck up a conversation with one of my writer friends. We'd attended a few conferences together, but didn't know each other much beyond the occasional Facebook status. "You have kids, right?" he asked over a piece of grocery store cake. "Yeah," I replied, "2 of them, age 2 and 4. "Oh God, don't go home," he said. Right then, I knew I'd found an ally, and not just in the realm of make-believe friends and peddling books. This was a man who had been in the trenches, who knew I'd be going home to a house where clear Cheerio dust clung to every surface, where Chuggingtons and My Little Pony streamed from Netflix ad nauseum, and where my patient, loving husband would be counting down the seconds to my return with the previously promised Mexican food. People told me parenting was hard when I was expecting my first child, and I believed them. Then my son Cole was born, and no, it wasn't easy. At the time, I was working from home as a teacher for an online school. It was a miracle if I appeared on camera for live classes without spit up all over my shirt. But most of the time it was fine. He slept, he ate. I graded French papers with Cole on my shoulder. It wasn't easy, but heck if I wasn't doing a great job. But by 12 months, Cole wasn't walking or talking, just barely crawling. The doctor said not to worry, kids develop in their own time. So I relaxed. I vowed not to be the panicky mom with her nose stuck in what to expect. And by 14 months, he got the walking thing down, though he still spoke in babbles. Speech delays happen for lots of reasons, they said, but even in my sleep-deprived state, something just didn't feel right. Then we gave him a baby sister, little Ashley, not his favorite gift at the time. And as she grew, each of her milestones put his delays into sharp relief. I began to suspect that Cole's issues were not just a simple speech delay, but a symptom of a larger issue, autism. Ashley and all of our friends' children seemed so different from him. The doctors put their fears away when Cole charmed the nurses. He waddled around the office, flirting with the nurses in his fluffy diaper. He made eye contact. I wanted an ally in that office to tell me I wasn't overreacting, that there was something we could do for him. But most of my concerns were largely dismissed as first-time mom jitters. The new speech therapist finally humored me, however, and in the comfort of our playroom, while 2 toddlers bounced off the walls, 3 haggard-looking specialists asked me legions of questions from their arsenal. Insightful things like, "Does your child display any behavior you think to be odd?" I looked at Cole wrestling Thomas the Tank Engine out of Ashley's pudgy hands. "Well, yeah, I have to stop him from eating crayons, and he likes Thomas the Tank Engine." I don't get it. I wanted to scream, but why doesn't Cole talk? Has your child ever walked between you and someone else while having a conversation? I thought of the dozens of conversations with my husband where one or both children whizzed about our legs. Well, yeah, but he's hobbit-sized and he's not exactly an impediment. I wanted to scream, but why doesn't Cole play with children other than his sister? But I didn't scream. Partly because I was afraid of the answer. They assured me Cole was fine and that he'd catch up with his peers in no time. So if he was fine, then those tantrums, the frustration he expressed with every transition throughout the day, had to be the products of my inexpert parenting. The world corroborated that story. We were frequent patrons of a Mexican restaurant not far from our house, and every time we went out, we were playing dinner roulette. And one night, we lost. Cole was sobbing and disconsolate, and we weren't sure why. I looked up from my table, hoping to see an ally. An understanding glance or even a "he'll grow out of it" from the table next to us. But that eye roll from that father at that next table let me know that I was screwing this up. They didn't understand, and neither did I, that in fact my son is autistic. Those words are freeing now that I can say them. I now know that Cole lacks the impulse control and the social finesse to deal with frustration and other emotions the way I and the rest of the world might prefer that he do. I spend my days entrenched in 17th century Canada writing about women who became mothers under far harsher circumstances than my own. They gave birth to a dozen children with the hopes that 2 or 3 might survive to adulthood. They didn't have diaper genies, Velcro cloth diapers, and Amazon Mom Prime shipping to help them out. But they had allies. If a child were born, say, with a limp, the community would know what had happened and wouldn't judge the parent or the child because he walked a little bit more slowly than the rest of his peers. But perhaps that's an unfair example. That's a visible disability. We understand those. Autism is invisible. My darling Cole looks no different from any other child in his class, other than the fact that I'm really bad about getting him regular haircuts. But my community is large. They don't know us well enough to know that his problems aren't behavioral, they're developmental. He doesn't necessarily need more discipline, though sometimes he does. What he needs most often is love, patience, and a whole lot of understanding. It's been a long 5 years, but I have learned more from that precious boy and his adorable sister than I did in 20 years of formal education. I have learned how to be a better friend without passing judgment. I have learned how to advocate for my children. I have learned that autism isn't just a disability, it can be a gift, one without which it is speculated that Einstein, Mozart, Lewis Carroll, and Andy Warhol might never have soared to the heights they did. And I have learned never to forget that we are all part of a community. Each of us has a choice to lift up our fellow parents or to put them down. I will make the loving choice far more often now. I will be an ally.